Alright, so this is a kind of impromptu video. Off the top of my head, a little bit. I didn't really get time to gather my thoughts so well. But I'm posting this mainly for a friend who posted a video regarding the oral Torah. And I wanted to make this video to kind of explain it maybe better, less confusing. So first of all, let me start with Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. What did he learn up there? If you read the written Torah from front to back, it doesn't take you obviously more than a day. It takes you less than a day to read the actual written text of the Torah. So was Moshe just going over the whole text of the written Torah and he comes down and writes it down? Not exactly. Moshe Rabbeinu was learning all of the commandments which exist in the written Torah. Okay, but he was learning also the details behind them. There are many details to all of the different commands. There's all sorts of things regarding sacrifices. There's all sorts of things regarding Shabbat, for example, is huge. You know, so you have one statement, one command in the written Torah which says, Mama's not here yet, which says. Do not do melacha on Shabbat. Now, what does melacha mean? Melacha is translated roughly in English as work or work. I don't know. Anyway, what does that word mean? Okay, that requires thousands of details in itself. To be honest with you, what work means? There's 39 classifications of work which are derived also from the written Torah, and those 39 it goes on and on. Okay, so. We have things that we can and can't do on Shabbat, okay? So that's just one example of a command which is in the written Torah, which has countless details to it, okay? It's not so simple. If you just say you don't do work, that is the most vague statement ever. So if you don't have an oral Torah to explain to you what the heck it's talking about, you're not going to know what to do, because Torah, it's specific. It's a matter of life and death. If you break Shabbat intentionally, you're technically liable for death in the time that somebody would be there to warn you. 2 witnesses would be there to see you. They'd give you one warning, and if you did it anyway, they'd take you to the court, and you probably wouldn't be killed anyway. But anyway, we don't have that court in place today. That's a whole other set of issues. But my point being is that the written Torah is the core. The 613 commands are the core, and there's countless details to many of the commands. To every single one of the commands, there's many different details, and that's explained in the oral Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu received. Okay, so that's the core also of the oral Torah, is what Moshe Rabbeinu knew. He knew. Why do you think it was people were coming to him all the time, burdening him with questions? And Yithro, his father-in-law, said to him, why don't you establish some sort of system where people, where you don't have to answer everybody's questions on your own? Okay, so obviously people were asking Moshe Rabbeinu questions about Torah observance, whether it was things that you'd go to a secular court about today, like somebody killed somebody, was it on accident, or it was on purpose, or somebody stole from you, all these issues, and also issues like, what do we do on Shabbat? What does it mean, melacha? What do all these things mean? Moshe Rabbeinu knew the answers to all those, and he relayed that information to the people orally, as you see written in the Torah, that account that Moshe Rabbeinu did this. Okay, so that's one. Okay, that's the core of the oral Torah. What Moshe Rabbeinu received from Har Sinai, both in written form and in oral form, that he knew. Okay, he knew the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is the author, so to speak. Hashem is the author, but Moshe Rabbeinu knew the Torah that Hashem relayed to him. He had to. Okay, so secondarily, besides that, there's another aspect to oral Torah, and that is found in Devarim 17 and Deuteronomy 17, where the Mosaic court, or the Supreme Court, was enacted. Now this court had the ability, it's there in the written text, you can see it had the ability to make halachic judgments. Halacha is similar to the word halicha. It comes from the same root word meaning walking, going about. Okay, so how do you go about carrying out the Torah? That's really what halacha means. So halakha is all the details to the commands. That's basically what halakha is. So they had the ability to make enactments, even new things, okay, new holidays, Hanukkah, Purim. These things were enacted by the Supreme Court of those given generations, okay. So that also when times change, new situations arise. People need new answers. You know, what do we do in any given situation? Because Torah spans the whole life of a Jew. Torah is not limited, okay? Torah is actually infinite. It's divine in nature. It's not limited to this physical universe. And even somebody who sits down and reads Torah can come up with new ideas, hidushim, and they can come up with hidushim almost infinite. Every other person can come up with new hidushim. It's endless. The amount of novel ideas that somebody can, or many people can come up with, is infinite because the Torah is infinite. So, we have the core, again to recap, we have the core of the Oral Torah, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu received on Har Sinai when he was up there for 40 days and 40 nights. He received the details to the written commands that we find in the written Torah. Okay, he received those written commands and their details. Then we have the enactments of the ordained courts. Okay, these courts are ordained. They exist in every generation from Moshe Rabbeinu up until about 2,000 years ago, and they had the ability given in the written Torah to enact new decrees on Israel. And it says, do not go to the right or to the left from what these Kohanim, Levim, and Shoftim, judges, what they tell you. The Kohanim and Levim were the people who are like how we have rabbis today. They were the people who knew the Torah, and the Shoftim were non-Kohanim, non-Levim, who knew also the Torah. They were wise men studied in Torah, like you call a rabbi today or whatever. So basically, this court was given that ability not to go to the right or left of what they say. Okay, so the oral Torah is there in these two forms. It's there in the written text of the Torah. You can see it. Okay, so I know that when somebody starts to learn about this, they want to know what it's about, because you can't just accept something outright just because they say it like this, just because, you know, and a lot of people have confusing videos. There's a lot of even misconceptions all around about the oral Torah, even among some Orthodox. But I'm not going to get into bashing other observant Jews. That's completely unnecessary. People really got to leave that out of their videos, especially when it's for introductory, for people introducing them the idea of such a thing. You can't be going around and saying all this stuff about orthodoxy in general, and I hate the term orthodox. Really, in Israel, you have religious, and then you have traditional, and you have less religious, or you have non-religious, secular. So if you have secular or traditional person, when they want to do something, they don't go to a conservative reform. There's no such thing over here in Israel. Here in Israel, you go to the source. You go to the religious, okay, Haradim or Dati Leumi, whatever it may be. People know that there's not these different distinctions. Even the secular people know that when they want to do Torah, they go to what you would call orthodox. Okay, so anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. Give me any feedback, any questions that you might have. She's got that cup there. When you got the cup? When you got the cup, princess? Here you got the cup. Oh, thank you so much. Give it to me. Here you go. Okay. So, any questions, anything like that, just send me a private message, whatever. Hope it was helpful. Hope it wasn't too confusing, and thank you.